you know, he can't work his way through a team fight in the same way that you look at some of the other tanks that are coming through. So they will be looking to make sure that he can get those flanks off, but he's going to have his work definitely cut out for him. Especially, I wanted to point out, I love this combo. We saw it before in the tournament. I think it was Enclave who picked it up. The Zac and the Galio combo, where you're kidnapping everyone directly back into that taunt. We saw played to perfection, and I'm hoping that we're going to see a very similar story coming through for Hyperion.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I do apologize to the stream. The OBS unfortunately decided to have a little bit of a moment, and we didn't have picks and bans actually on the screen despite it telling me it was on, so I do apologize from that side of things. But you can see everything here. You didn't miss much. Pretty much great kind of color commentary from my good co-cast there, telling us exactly what was going on. But last ban was going to be that Azir, and it looks like the Gangplank has been left open, and there's kind of a lot of pseudo-tankiness on the side of Diabolus, but not a huge amount of true tanks, and that's a little bit of a worry because it's not gonna take a lot of damage from the side of Hyperion to really burst through the Tam Kench or the Skarner.
Yeah, they're going to be opting more for that split push style, but the real question is if Hyperion will actually let them get to that stage. One of the things that I love about Galio is how that he can force fights in lanes where you really don't want to be fighting, especially when he can get that roam up. And if you've got a Twitch, I'm already seeing the submarine coming through where he can just go into lane, super aggressive, and Galio just charges down on top of him as well. This is already looking incredibly impressive for the Hyperion lineup.
Yeah, Hyperion, now they are coming into this as relative underdogs. We said Diabolus were the teams that was one of the teams that we expected to make top 3 or even top 2 in the kind of grand scheme of this entire thing. And Janna going to be the last ban by Hyperion. So Hyperion building around a hyper comp, building around that Twitch, looking for team fights, looking for that Zac engage with the Galio. And like you said, even just the Twitch with the Galio engage. So I want to know how they make this work and if they can make it work.
Hyperion have a very easy to action composition coming through. You're going to have the Galio and the Gnar split pushing in either lane. You've got that Zac for the dive alongside that invisible Twitch who be coming through trying to assassinate whoever he can get his hands on. But it makes these team fight scenarios so good for them because of the tower dive potential that they have. Zac can launch himself in from afar. Twitch opens up with the rat-a-tat-tat, and when you've got Galio coming down on top of Sketan to keep him safe, he can survive for a monumental amount of time underneath these turrets. So I'm delighted to see Hyperion pick up a draft like this. This is exactly the type of composition that they need to excel with what they have. But we'll have to see if Diabolus can shut that down. They picked up Kassadin as well for themselves in the mid lane, which is going to be great in those split push scenarios. You're going to have Gangplank, that super late game scaling as well. So this is actually going to be kind of tough. If Diabolus get ahead, they should be able to fight their way through and tossle them about in these 1-3-1 scenarios. But we'll have to see if they can get that advantage.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but roster's locked and loaded. The Kassadin for Larson, and yes, it kind of fits in with the comp of what they want to do, but I want to know if it's going to be enough. Because of the global pressure you have from Hyperion, it's going to be very hard to get that split push pressure going with that kind of, what you can imagine with this team comp coming out from Diabolus. They want to go for a 1-3-1.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just going to be whoever can get the advantage is going to win this. It's going to be the one. It is 1-3-1 each side. So it's really a case of, okay, are Diabolus pushing in Hyperion enough that when Galio goes to leave lane and tries to help whoever Skarner has grabbed, is there going to be enough pressure where Kassadin or the top laner as well, the Gangplank, can get in and take a tower or grab some other objective around the map while they're trying to desperately to save their team? So it's going to be, if Diabolus can get ahead, they have a very easy to action team comp where they're going to just be running through. But if it's going to be Hyperion who end up with the advantage, they've got a lot more avenues that they can play around. They can go for those team fights. They can go for the 1-3-1. So I actually think that through the draft phase, Hyperion have set themselves up quite well.
Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see how it all unfolds. But ladies and gentlemen, on Twitter, on Twitch, on Facebook, wherever you may be, let us know who you want to win using the hashtag I combined H and Y and just went hi. Yeah, hey, how is it going? HYP win or DBL win. Let us know who you think should be coming out with this. But honestly, I'd be in a Hyperion situation. They're not expected to win. Pressure's on Diabolus right now, and they need a result from this. You do not want to be going into the second half of the season with only one win under your belt.
No, you most certainly do not, especially when they're already down in terms of the amount of games that they can play, because they've already played 4 across the split as well, because they've been able to pick up a game both Sundays. So they're they're already feeling the pressure a little bit more than their counterparts in their own group. So this is where they need to step up and pick up a win against this team that has been struggling in its own group. So I really want to make sure that these guys are coming in well suited, but with the composition that they have, it's very much a case of, can they stall out to those later stages of the game and make sure that they're the ones in control?
Yeah, it's kind of mid versus late, you know, kind of, we'll see, have to wait and see exactly how it all comes down. But ladies and gentlemen, for the first game of week 3 of the ESL Premiership Spring Season 2018, it is Hyperion versus Diabolus, and let's get into it.
Blood Penguin, I am so happy. Look how few stopwatches there are. There's only 3.
It got moved. It got moved. It got moved, man.
It's so good.
It is a glorious sight to see. We got, I think 8 was our record at one point.
Yeah, it was ridiculous, but this does play into the hands of Hyperion a little bit, especially when you've got that Galio there, and you're able to utilize him quite effectively to dive the lanes. Now, I would have actually preferred if they picked up much more engage heavy support when you're looking towards a Galio in that or in the mid lane, because it means that then you can force stuff on the bottom side, particularly when you're looking at Smiley and towards Haddo. Tam, Kench and Varus are both very susceptible to that ultimate coming down if you can get in range, because once you end up gobbling up Smiley, you can just go directly for Haddo and you're both locked in the same boat then. So, but they only have the Janna this time around, so Mystical will actually have a little bit of difficulty trying to get those aggressive Galio ults down. He'll be much more looking towards the defensive style, making sure that he can keep the Twitch safe in that bottom side of the map, as he's going to be bombarded with the skill shot coming through from Smiley and also from Hyperion trying to get his nose in there and see if he can get his hands on the rat.
One thing I wanted to touch on a little bit, just to kind of do a little bit of history for everybody. Larson did not have a good game last week, or even in the Tuesday game. Really did not step up and really kind of fell behind quite a bit. And 0-3 on a Zoe, just very rare thing to see at our prime. So what does he need to do to get his confidence back, to put him back as the #1 player for this roster?
Well, this time around, it works a little bit better. He's on that, yes, Zoe kind of scales well throughout the game, but he's on a champion that he can actually show the mechanics that he's had. It's not just about, oh, I landed the triple bubble, great, one skill shot, you're done. This is more of a case of reading the way that these team fights are going, reading the map, and I think that's where Larson really starts to shine, where he's got these options as to how he can make sure that he's a stalwart position for his team, and this is going to be enabled a lot more through that casting with that split push, where he's able to come in over the walls, get those flank, get that pressure down. So I'm glad that he's on something where he's got a little bit more of a tune into the game of how he can work it.
Skarner already getting those pillars. The only useful thing from the other game mode of League of Legends that isn't ARAM. I don't think anyone played it. Wasn't it a thing of like less people played? Yeah, Ascension, that was it. It was like less people played that than like were actually. Then like I can't remember the exact stat was, but it was something crazy when you actually looked at it. It was ridiculous, but.
Yeah, I love how they brought it out, and then everyone's like, oh my god, this is amazing, and then like a month later, nobody was playing it. So Riot just got really salty about not making new game modes available to people, because anyone was going to want to play it.
You want Earth? No, you play Ascension this week, okay? Everyone likes Ascension. It's like that one salty developer who's just like, I like this game mode, it's a good game mode.
Fun times.
Well, Skarner's back in the meta. You know, that Ascension effectively brought him back here, and he has been spotted out already, so he's just going to back away. Was putting down a little bit of vision, but we see Skedden already backing as well. So the two junglers just on a similar warpath, trying to, you know, kind of get anything they can towards that mid lane, maybe get any kind of a gank going. But realistically, Skarner doesn't have a huge amount of kill pressure unless he can burn the flash super early.
Yeah, he does have it, like, because he does have the passive stun, it can be useful, but I think he's going to have his work cut out from trying to get into range of actually proccing that, especially, you know, you've got the Janna there for disengage, the Galio is so tanky that it's not really going to make a big difference, and Dan should be able to just hop away at the same time, so it's not really going to be in these early stages where he's looking to do much. He'll be waiting to farm up and try and stop Skedden from influencing these maps in the early. That's when you could see him going in to try and get that early vision control down. It's to make sure that there's no way Hyperion can get a little bit of advantage, particularly when you've got that Infernal Drake up. They just want to make sure, okay, cool, we've got everything down, we've got our vision, we know what's happening, we're not going to lose out on this.
Mr. Gunn establishing dominance in that mid lane. Farm is pretty even Stevens across the board. Janna and Twitch having a little bit of a harder time against Varish and Tam Kench, but to be expected. So nothing really out of the ordinary right now, but we actually see a little bit of a gold lead just kind of creeping up for Diabolus. And like I talked about, they're a mid-game team with mid-game spikes. They need to be the ones aggressing coming into these kind of, 15 to 20 minute fights.
We'll have to see if they can find it. Mr. Gunn will be using that teleport to get back into his own lane, and already you can see Skarner is trying to pick up these fires. We'll end up finding a wild Skedden, but should be able to hop out here not too shabbily.
Now, Wild Skedden has ran away, and just kind of being annoying right now, keeping tabs on where Skedden is. He's not really had any opportunities for a flank as such, because they've had perfect vision as to where he's been, on what side of the map, and who can go where. It's been a very interesting kind of dynamic for this team, as we see Larson and Mr. Gunn. I don't think either of these guys are going to be able to kill each other unless we see jungler intervention.
No, and I think that's a lot of it kind of across the board. So that's why I've been paying so much attention to the jungle pass that are coming through from these guys. And Skarner right now is up just a little bit because he's been able to steal away a lot of the camps from Skedden, who can't really duel him right now, but he's looking towards the mid lane.
Yeah, they do burn the flash of Larson. Don't quite get the knockback Skedden there. Nice little move there. And already we're seeing... It's not a huge deal for the Kassadin. He has got that Rift Walk, so he won't be in too much danger. But it is that thing of, a little bit annoying, a little bit of extra pressure that can put onto his mid lane. And he's still no real wards on that bot side either, so he needs to be a bit careful.
Yeah, you can see, though, that the junglers are kind of just swapping vision control. They've managed to get the wards into Diabolus' jungle on the bottom side of the map for Hyperion, and it's on the top side of the map for Diabolus. So they're kind of just swapping and trading, which is looking at where they're trying to make their influence happen. You want to make sure that Igloo's in a comfortable position against this Gnar, where he'll be able to farm up. So that's why they're making sure that Zac can't get in and be a nuisance up in that top side. Whereas on the bottom side, they're looking towards that Twitch, who needs to be their late game damage. So they want to make sure that he's got the safety there, which is why we're seeing this kind of swap on both sides of the map.
Yeah, also we're being shaded by Twitch chat. It was Dominion, not Ascension. Two different game modes on the same map. So we're getting shamed right now.
Well, look, they were both bad, so I don't mind.
Both equally terrible, so what's the beef?
There's gonna be that one guy who's like, I thought it was good. It's like,
I was Challenger. It's like those guys who are like, I was Challenger last season, and then you realize, like, there were golds and 5v5s, but it was like Challenger and 3v3s, Twisted Tree Line. You're just like, come on, dude, why you gotta do this?
But he's got the slick border.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically.
Yeah, in one game mode, that's all you need.
That you're probably never going to play again anyway. Well, until...
Exactly. We're coming up to now 8 minutes into the game. Skedden gonna jump in on top of Tam Kench. They're trying to burst him down fairly quickly. Gangplank ult and the Varus ult used. EU Twisted needs to be very careful. He's forced to flash. Not the most worth, as we see a gank in the mid lane. Misto going in a lot of trouble. Isn't even going to flash away. First blood to Larson. Hyperion using that ult very cleanly, very nicely. Picks himself up an advantage in the mid lane.
Yeah, I was actually surprised at how much burst they could do to Mr. Gunn. Does have the catalyst, has the cloak there as well to keep himself safe.
Just picked that up, in fairness.
Yeah.
Literally picked that up as he died. So he didn't have that before he died.
Gives you quite a bit of health, and when you're in your Galio, you're kind of renowned for how well you can do, particularly against the castle that deals so much AP damage. You end up just innately tanky due to that, but still they're able to burst him down. A nice gank coming through from Hyperion as well.
And actually, if you look at the kind of gold right now, it's only a kill, but we're coming up to 9 minutes, 10 minutes. We're already seeing a little sneaky 2,500 gold lead for the side of Diabolus, and you could blame that on the kleptomancy of and the passive of Igloo's Gangplank, and you would be right in saying that. But at the same time, it's still a fairly decent chunk of gold, especially this early.
Yeah, and look at the mid and bot lane as well. I mean, a 10 CS lead after that gank for the Kassadin. You've got an over 20 CS lead as well for the Varus into the Twitch. So they're going to be quite happy with the way that this game is going so far. You might see a little bit of a reversal of roles now in that bottom side of the map, though, as you're going to see Twitch working up towards the Infinity Edge. It's just a nicer build path for him, and Skedden again going in, but ends up trying to launch himself on top of a ward. So going to be no SpaceX today.
Yeah, no real pressure there, considering he is just sitting on top of a ward right on the corner. Very nicely placed there by, you would imagine, either Hado or Smiley. As Dan finally putting pressure onto Igloo, but honestly, it's kind of a little bit too little too late. He really should have been pressuring this Gangplank a hell of a lot earlier, and being only a little bit up on CS isn't exactly the best position to be in, especially with the Gnar going up against the Gangplank.
Yeah, does have that stopwatch available though, so we'll be able to stay relatively safe. So Igloo is fine for the moment to just hang on, keep farming, keep himself going towards that late game, and there's no real pressure on him to try anything else right now. Hyperion haven't really been able to find an entrance into anywhere, so he's just going to stay here, keep working his way in, but as I say, that's getting...
Yeah, actually gonna see, there is the Hado going golden. Nice ultimate there from Smiley, gonna stop everybody. Gangplank gold coming in, very late Galio ult, and there's a lot invested here for no real gain. Hado doesn't even really need to burn anything, has still got his exhaust, and they leave Larson in the mid lane. Hyperion, looking a bit desperate.
Yeah, they're continuously trying to get Twitch ahead, as that's all their win condition is allow Twitch to try and become such a big monster that he's able to take down these towers. Now, he does have all these supportive roles coming in around him to keep him safe, but he really is the one that they want to try and get ahead, and Skedden is doing his damnedest to get in there and upset this lane, but they're just finding no purchase right now.
Yeah, Dan forced to flash as everyone on the top side of Diabolus was looking to try and make that gank happen. Look at the gold now already. We're seeing 1,000 lead for Larson in the mid lane. 1,000 or just under 1,000 for Gangplank. You know, these are, you know, not big numbers, but those little half items coming up to 12 minutes, they can be huge.
Yeah, they most certainly can, but you definitely want to wait until that Gangplank has got his Triforce completed before he really becomes a menace towards that top lane. That's kind of what we're looking at across the board here. When you look at the side lanes, at least, is a lot of these one-item power spikes that can come through with the Triforce. The Guinsu's just completed onto Smiley as well. They can start to churn out a lot of damage, and I wouldn't be surprised to see if they try to start moving into a more aggressive stance, get this deep vision control, as you can see off of Hado now, and try and pick up this Infernal Drake, because it will work wonders for them if they can secure that.
Yeah, one thing you do not want to give a Twitch is an early Infernal to get him past that little lull, you know, and get him into that high spiking kind of ADC hyper carry role that he wants to be in so badly. But Smiley and Hado have a pretty decent lane of it. Igloo in a little bit of trouble, flashes, and you go golden as Larson jumps up. We're gonna see Dan XD use his ultimate as well. Larson on the chase, has got flash available if he chooses to use it. Needs to be a little bit careful though. Does use it, gets stunned up. Will he have enough damage? No, he's gonna back away. A little bit over aggressive, and Igloo getting a little bit overconfident, if I'm being honest.
And look at Skedden right now, straight away hops in towards the pit to start up this barn. There's two on the top side. Igloo's too low, Larson's too low, but both teleports are available if they want to contest. Hado has found them on the Drake.
Here we go, TP coming in. That's going to be the Cassidy and the Gangplank on top of the same... Oh, it's not actually on the top of the same board. It's only the Gangplank. Good ult from the Janna. Going to see the Galio jumping into the middle of this fight. Furion gets eaten. Larson off on the backside. That's a good ultimate from the Gangplank, but a great let's bounce from the side of Hyperion, but they're still getting AoE. Daishin goes golden as everyone's still trying to go onto this. Gangplank's the first to fall next to Galio. The Twitch is still super healthy. They're trying to keep going on top of this. They don't really have the damage. Twitch takes out the Cassidy on the back of this fight. Skedden looks like he might want to go back and re-engage on top of this. He does. He tries to just go for something. Hado gets flashed onto. He does get healed. Skedden gets out with his life. Twisted Fate. EU Twisted, I should say. Untouched in that. As I say that, maybe they go for something. No. But in the end, it ends up being a 3-for-2. Dragon goes over to Hyperion, and that's a big win for them.
Yeah, definitely is, especially when they're locked into the pit like that, and you're looking at the ultimate coming through from Smiley. That was great play from him, locked up several members, and you could see the back line of Hyperion were scrambling to get away as they were locked down in the pit, but they weren't quite able to finish off a lot of these low health members. And I think EU Twisted got a little bit antsy and backed away a bit too soon. They might have been able to pick up 1 or 2 more kills, as Skedden and Dan XD were looking to see if they could seek the kills onto Varus and Tam Kench, but not quite able to find them.
Yeah, nice little capitalization there, and you gotta feel like that was just a really weird misstep you had from the side of Diabolus. They had pressure in the bot lane, they had all the cards on the table to take that Infernal, and it just never happened.
Yeah, but that's why you gotta play towards where the objectives are in the map, and it's something that Diabolos haven't really been doing too often, where if you're looking towards that Infernal Drake, you want to pick it up, well then you gotta send Larson down towards that bottom lane. The second you put multiple members in that top side, especially when you're going to go so deep for Dan XD, it just means that it's an open invitation for Hyperion to take the Drake, and they welcome that with open arms.
Yeah, we actually see now Diabolos going to make a move on that bot side. Igloo is getting pressured in the top. We're actually going to see E Twisted just trying to get away. Daijin going to maybe get out alive, but no, he gets dragged back into it along with Daijin. And that's going to be an easy kill, easy first tower. Zac in no man's land really doesn't have any kind of a reply, and Diabolos re-established control.
But this is what I mean. Imagine they'd made that play before the Infernal Drake had gone down. They would have been able, they had the Gwinsus on the Varus, they had the damage there, they had the engage potential with Furin and Larson, but instead they try to put it towards the top side. So yes, they end up picking up the kills, but that same play could have been made 20 seconds, 3 to 4 minutes earlier, and you get a Drake on top of it alongside the tower. So we can see now Diabolos are starting to re-control this game, but they're still missing out on small missteps.
Yeah, little small mistakes, and with the scaling comp that the side of Hyperion have, you got to be a little bit careful how many of those you give away. But at the end of the day, they are still about 5,000 gold up, so they won't be feeling too bad, as Misogun does not quite get away into that, as we see the side of Smiley and Hado come on top of this mid laner. It's going to see a little bit of a re-engage come out for this. There's the Gangplank ultimate coming in. Actually, the Let's Bounce gets knocked back by Mistogun. Smiley completely untouched, and they're going to get a lot of hurt from that. Nice rotation from the Diabolus bot lane.
Yeah, but you can see the Twitch is now rotated as well.
Yeah, not the best of moves, really. Nearly gets himself caught out. Everyone from the side of Diabolos, apart from Igloo, was around there, so definitely not a fight he wanted to take. He backs away. Still has ultimate, but he's going to have to go back, and they're honestly going to have to concede this tower. It's so low, there's no way they can defend it.
Yeah, no health on the Twitch, no mana on Mr. Gun either. He's back in base. Well, he has made his way back here, but no, they're not actually going to be to get it. I actually was nearly convinced that was going to go down there, but good hold from Hyperion.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a weird one as well, because you look at the ultimates that are available. You have got the Skarner ultimate available, like, you know, fair enough, Kassadin ultimate is always available considering on your mana, but I don't know why you don't go in on that flash engage, try burst down Mistogun, who had already taken such a huge chunk off of him.
Yeah, but it is going to be a win for Hyperion, as now Twitch looking to chase down a Kassadin, which is not something you see very often, but Larson is going to back away. Not sure where the remaining members of Hyperion are, so playing it safe for the moment.
Yeah, Igloo with the nice orange there, so he's going to be K. He backs away as we see more pressure from Diabolos pushing into this mid lane. Now a 6,000 gold lead. They're just picking this up from pure farm advantages. 50 CS in that bot lane. 40 CS alone in the jungle. That's a huge number considering that neither of these junglers really should be getting a massive amount of CS themselves. Hado does not quite get jumped on yet. We're going to see Smiley protect him. Skedden, not exactly much resistances on him, so honestly they're gonna keep conceding right now. They're gonna concede in all three lanes as Larson's now pushed up into this top lane.
They are trying to fight too often in this mid lane when Diabolos have now established their 1-3-1. You can see already Larson and Igloo are consistently in these side lanes trying to see if they can get down these turrets, and when you're committing multiple members towards that mid lane and you're not able to find the win, it just means that they're able to get more chip damage onto these towers over and over again. So either it's going to be Hyperion have to start to answer for these, or they're going to lose towers like right now.
Yeah, to see Larson already putting that sheen to good work. You'd imagine he's going towards a Lich Bane. I have been wrong before though, as we see Igloo getting jumped on. Has an orange, so he'll be fine. Barrels enough as well to keep him in there. Both junglers off to the side. We're going to see an engage coming in. Skedden does not quite hit the Let's Bounce or hit his elastic slingshot. Ult used there by Smiley just to get away. EU Twisted also very, very low. But as I say that, though, we're going to see a re-engage happen here as Hyperion jumps in. They're going to try and get the bot lane duo, but nobody really hitting anything. Igloo goes down to Larson on the backside. Cell Division pop as well. Diabolos are taking over this mid-game. Flash in onto Mistogun means he's going to be taken down. Zac comes up just to fall. And that was a really odd engage coming out from Hyperion, and they're going to lose so much off that.
That was complete desperation from the side of Hyperion. They try to go in onto the mid lane. They don't find the engage with the Zac jump. They try to find them again in the river. Again, the Zac jump isn't enough to get the Let's Bounce to draw them back in. Mr. Gun tries to fire himself in to help his buddy on the Zac, and there's nothing again for them. And they end up just getting decimated by Diabolus. You've got to wonder what's going through these guys' heads. They weren't, I have to say, that far behind. But now you're looking at a 10k gold lead for Diabolus. And Hyperion, we were saying they needed to come up. They needed to step up for this game. And right now it's been quite lackluster.
Mr. Gun's Galio has been anything but impactful in this game so far, and like you said, they've got this hyper late game, hyper carry setup, but you got to get there. We talk about this all the time, every single week. It's like, yes, you have a late game carry and you have a late game kind of support system for it, but you don't get to the late game, you don't ever win that trade, and that's just something that Hyperion really are getting destroyed right now. And you could look at the side of Diabolus and say that their draft was very solo queue-esque. It was keep the fights away, keep everyone in side lanes. They're going back to that 1-3-1 now, as you can see. And right now, that's all they have to do. They have no reason to group up. There's no reason for them to fight, and there's honestly no reason for them to even like look at the side of Hyperion as a major threat right now.
Especially with how awkward Hyperion have been playing the Zac Galio combo. We've seen this played before and it has worked out incredibly well, but right now it looks like an absolute nightmare for Hyperion. Skedden in the early game was trying to get these engages, get into the bot lane and see if he can make that happen. Mr. Gun comes in 5-6 seconds too late to actually have an impact. Then again we're seeing where, and this is the thing actually with Mr. Gun, he's playing into Kassadin. He should be the one pushing in that lane. He should be the one who's free to make the roams, not the other way around. But it was actually Larson who got just as many roams off as Mr. Gun did. And you know that that's not the way that you want to be playing this when like the Kassadin is not the one getting shoved in against the Galio.
Yeah, and especially you look at it from Galio to Larson, whereas, you know, or maybe even the, you know, the Gnar into the Gangplank. Neither of the lanes that really should have won really hard for the side of Hyperion really did. You can almost forgive the lack of hard pushing coming out from the bot lane given the circumstances, but you know, those solo lanes need to perform. Otherwise, you get a situation where you do have a Lich Bane fully stacked row with Kassadin. You do have a Triforce and Steris Gage Gangplank. And that right there is you know, such a difficult thing to deal with, because now it becomes even harder for you to kill them. And it also means it becomes a lot easier for them to kill you.
Yeah, and even when Hyperion try to force the fights now, it's going to be nigh on impossible. We talked about it in the pick ban phase, where if it was Diabolus who got ahead and they were the ones with the tempo and dictating the pressure on the map, it was going to be like, there's just no way for Hyperion to try and bring this back. Skedden can go in for the engage, but he hasn't even finished his first item. He's only got that jungle item to his name. So when he goes in against the Gwynsu's Varus that's got Runins and an Infinity Edge, he's going to go down incredibly quickly. And without the help of Mr. Gun to boot, because Mr. Gun is now stuck in a lane against a 4-1 Kassadin. Hyperion's doors are very quickly closing, and they weren't utilising the tools that they had available to the early game, so I can't really blame them for falling behind to Diabolus.
Difficult game indeed, and you know, you have the advantages but nothing really going. As I say, tag your rid as Larson now goes in to tag off onto Misto Gun, who has to swap out for Igloo, and it's just a kind of from now on, the side of Diabolus don't even have to take any fights right now, and as I say that, they are going to go for one straight away. The Let's Bounce used defensively as Skedden tries to go back. We're going to see the Rat-a-tat-tat come in as well, just as a dissuader. No real damage behind it. It only got that IE and that Runans. He needs that, you know, rapid fire cannon or at least a second crit item just to really go for it. And it looks like Baron is on the cards for the side of Diabolus while they have Larson pushing in the bot lane.
Yeah, they know that they forced Skedden back. He's going to have to retreat. The Kassadin with the teleport just about to come up is taking the bot lane turret. So Mr. Gun is dragged down that direction, which means it's free. Like, look how far away Hyperion are right now. They're just being danced around the map by Diabolus, who are not giving an inch. And there goes Jack.
Yeah, we're going to have to see everybody going in. Larson is dead, though, and Twisted is still alive. This could have actually gone very badly if we keep going it this way. We see a flash in. Smiley going to be taken down as well. Where did that fight go wrong? Unfortunately, observers didn't quite catch the start of it, but what the hell happened?
I'm in the same boat as the observers. I don't know why Diabolus took that fight. There's no reason. You just got Baron. You have complete map control. You were only risking, especially when you've taken the debuff from Baron. That makes no sense to fight. You just back away. You have a free path directly up towards your top side turret. You're home safe. They take the fight. Yes, they pick off Janna, but that's not the main issue here. She's only there in case Hyperion manages to find his way onto Twitch. You just gave away that free fight.
Yeah, and losing 3 of your 5 Baron buffs in a 1-3-1 comp is just such a bizarre thing for me to see. And Diabolus, a little bit of overconfidence now. It in no way, shape, or form 100% brings Hyperion back into the game, but it gives some much needed gold over to the side of, you know, the carries. It gives it to EU Twisted. It gives him all these, you know, nice little things that can really help him shred in these fights.
Yeah, he's now got the runes, just got that last whisper as well. So anyone who steps up to try and get in these fights now is going to be blasted by this Twitch. So Hyperion, you're saying not over the hurdle just yet, but they're definitely on their way if they can start to get more onto this Twitch.
Twitch only needs, you know, maybe another item and a half, another crit item, and finish off that last whisper, and he is a monster. And that is a very, very scary situation for the side of Diabolus. They do not want this to go to 35-40 minutes, because if it does, they are in a world of hurt. As I just feel like Varus will not be able to shred past all these tanks as much as the Twitch will, or rather as quickly as the Twitch will.
Yeah, but what tanks on the side of Diabolus? You've only got Skarner there, and if he's going to be trying to run through Mystagun, Skedden, Dan XD, I think Furion's playing more control and defense rather than offense in a lot of these scenarios, if it's Hyperion engaging, because you're going to have to try and peel off the Gnar, the Zac, the Galio as well. Like, you have your work cut out for you in these team fights, so it's going to be quite tough for them in any scenario to play these team fights well. And when you're only giving more armory over to your opponents, you're just needlessly elongating this game and putting yourself at a disadvantage.
We'll have to wait and see. Baron up, Baron buff still on for about a minute, so they still have a little bit of pushing power with it. And Dan XD is going to struggle now that he goes into Mega, but has got that kill pressure, I should say, now. And mid lane tier 2 going to fall as Larson roams up for that. So only the inhibitor turrets left for Hyperion. They need to try and find out if they can stall this. But honestly, right now it's looking, apart from those, you know, 1 or 2 little mistakes from the side of Diabolus, it's been pretty smooth going from them. And they should be able to clean this one out.
This is going to be the most difficult tier for them to crack, though. I know you can say that at any point in time because it's the inhibitor turrets, but this is where it starts to get a little bit more deadly, as Skedden can come over these walls from far away. Mystagun is always in range of that ultimate, so it becomes a lot more difficult to siege up and try and play the composition that Diabolus are playing. They only just lost the Baron buff as well, so it's going to be a long time before they can draw Hyperion out. This is where they should be looking to see if they can continue to scale up, but Skedden has found a wall. No, he hasn't. He's flashed.
No, yeah, I was going to say, Skedden hasn't found Smiley. Smiley's found Skedden, and these engages are just not really working out right now as Larson takes that opportunity to go for the mid lane. We're going to see the Gangplank ulti come in as well, so they lose that global to an extent, but they've got pressure now in the mid lane as well. Smiley able to push down that one fairly quickly, and they break the base open on the side of Hyperion. They really know what they're going for when they really push in. Those small little mistakes, Skedden already having his team punished because of that overextension.
Yeah, Skedden hasn't really been able to find a way into this game at all. I mean, every single gank he's gone for, he's fallen short. He's trying desperately to lock up people with the elastic, or sorry, even with the Q, but he hasn't been able to find any entryway. And even there, going in aggressively, doesn't have Mystagun there to back him up because he's trying to force Larson out of the bot lane. The question marks are just popping up continuously in my mind as to where the communication on Hyperion is, because they're not finding anywhere that there's synergy, there's a combo, there's nothing happening. It's one guy going in, he goes down, oh well, I guess that's it, we're just going to lose towers now.
Yeah, no inhibitor is taken though, but the base is very much wide open and ready to be taken, as Daijin just tries to keep EU Twisted carrying and stacking as much as he can. Still has tier 1 boots as well, but he's so far behind. He is 4,000 gold behind, and Galio is 5,000 gold behind. That is ridiculous. There is huge chunks of gold just on either side, or on against the side of Hyperion. And Diabolus, I feel like they should be looking to try and end right now, because, as I said, the gold leads are great and all, but when you start maxing out items, when you start becoming to a point where items don't really matter in the next 5 to 10 minutes, that's when things get messy, and hopefully for them, they won't have to get to that point.
Yeah, rushing this, though, is the worst thing Diabolus could do. They need to play this slow. They need to make sure that the lanes are in their favor, waves are pushing at the same time, and see, this is what they're looking for, where you can move multiple members toward the mid lane, which means that then the rest of your team can push through, and you just rinse and repeat. And that's where now they picked up the inhib, because with multiple members in the top lane, great, we can now push in free in the mid lane. And this is where they're, oh, actually, as I say that though, it's getting again.
Yeah, gonna go for it, but a lot of miss ultimates. Misogun now taking a lot of damage on the backside of this, as well as Dan tries to jump in on top of this, but Skarner's killed the Twitch, and that is all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. There's no damage left on the side of Hyperion, and actually on the backside, Smiley and Hada were saying, hello, we're now in your spawn, and they're gonna be able to take them down. No one left alive. Clean ace. And that is going to be a very nice win coming out from Diabolus. Confident, clean, and slow, but they got it in the end. GG.
Yeah, very controlled game coming out from Diabolus.